Hey everyone and welcome back to Final Fantasy XIV, where today it is time for the fates of the Dravanian Forelands. But today we're going to be doing things a little bit differently. We're still doing all of the fates with my group, but we're not going to be showing all of the fates. In order to make these fate episodes go a little bit smoother, I'm going to be cutting out any fates that are just kind of like, not filler, that feels too mean, but I'm only going to really be keeping any fates that have particularly good rewards or interesting lore or anything like that. Fates that I find particularly interesting. Alright, starting off, we have Elephant in the Brume down in the southwest of the region. Many a wall in Ishgard's Brume still bear the scars of Svarog's numerous assaults on the city-state proper, as do many a heart of those who have lost kin to the fell worm's flames. It is time the deeds were repaid. So we just got a big old dragon wyvern who apparently is notorious for just screwing things up in Ishgard. The fact this is a fate though implies that we don't kill it and it flees. That's unfortunate. We do have several friends with us here today, starting off our Ashi and Mimolko. We will have more friends joining as we go on. I believe we end up with 5 people total. And rather entertainingly, we had a 6th person who arrived as we finished the final fate in today's set, which extremely unfortunate timing, also extremely funny timing. Alright, that is Elephant in the Brume complete. Next up, we are heading off to Glawackus on, Glawackus off. Glawackus, a Bandersnatch so greedy it was set upon by its own pack, now wanders the Forelands alone, devouring anything it can wrap its claws around, which is most often chocobo hatchlings. Hunt down the beast and slay it once and for all. I'm trying to figure out, this is clear, the fate title is clearly a reference. The closest thing I can think of is clap on, clap off, the clapper, but the name Glawackus just does not work with that? So I'm not quite sure what exactly the joke they're going for here is, or the reference rather. That said, a Bandersnatch that was kicked out by its own pack, and still seems to be doing pretty well for itself judging from its size. I imagine everybody's gonna be happy to see this one dead. The Chocobos, the people of Tailfeather, the other Bandersnatches. We're doing everyone a favor by killing this one. Alright, on to the next fate. Out of all the fates we are doing today, there are 20 in total. There are 25 in the Dravanian Forelands, but we're skipping 5 either for being too high level or involved in something we're going to take care of much later. Next up is Ladies First, just southeast of Tailfeather. A band of chocobo hunters banished from Tailfeather for trapping only female chocobos has been spotted near the chocobo forest doing what they do best. See that their next banishment is from the realm of the living. I wonder if that asshole from the quest where we were trying to find the that new hunter a hunting partner. That one oh my god, I'm so sorry about being terrible with names. That one asshole who was just poaching, killing mothers and stealing their children. I wonder if he ended up joining with this group. I sure hope so, because that means we get to kill him now. Also, there is another player who we kept running into, who is also doing a bit of fate grinding. We may see them from time to time. Hello there, random stranger who we ended up playing kind of with as we were doing this fate grind. Alright, so we've got a mix of hounds and hunters to deal with. Yeah, not too bad. Having an additional player with us that wasn't part of our group did help speed it up a bit, which was nice. And yes, this flea is definitely also a poacher and definitely needs to die. Death to the poacher fleas. Alright, that should be all of it, yeah. Fate clear, on to the next one. Alright, this one, Stamp the Yard, I'm actually showing primarily because we got lost on the way there. I wanted to show that it is not down in Mourn, it is in fact on top of the entrance to Mourn. Driven from their territory by horde dragons, a herd of Gallimimuses has begun to stampede. If allowed to reach the Forelands' lower elevations, they will most certainly flatten all in their path, from newly planted crops to unsuspecting children. Head off the heated creatures and attempt to slow the rampage. Oh. Oh. They will trample literally everything then. Though interesting, I would have assumed the Gallimimuses would be part of the horde, or part of the Dravanian horde. Maybe I have made mistakes in the structure of the Dravanian population. Though I guess this game has such a wide diversity of dragon types. They're not just the classical, like, Western dragons or Eastern dragons that you commonly see in media. It includes giant turtles, as we saw in Stone Vigil Hard. It includes wyverns. It includes, like, the weird half-man, half-dragon creatures that the heretics turn into, which, to be fair, those are half-man, half-dragons, but still, their designs are very distinctly not like other types of dragons. There's a very wide variety of dragon types in this game. So I kind of assumed that the Gallimimuses were also dragons, but I guess they're closer to... I guess raptors aren't necessarily dragons. Fair enough. Alright, next up. We have Mossy Peak over here northeast of Tailfeather. Is going to have our next fate. Fleas are everywhere, in me hair, in me buskins, in me goddamn codpiece. Here, you can even have the coin I was paid for that last chocobo. Just keep the bloody boogers off of me. If only poor Mossy Peak had the power to attract Rugadin maids the way he attracts feather fleas. But he doesn't, and so his only company remains scores of blood-sucking Valken who, if not dealt with quickly, will suck Mossy Peak dry before he can arrive home. Yeah, I don't think that's the kind of sucking he had in mind when he went out to explore today. Apologies. Let's kill the feather fleas and get this man to safety. The feather fleas aren't too bad, but it seems we're mostly getting large numbers of them, probably from how big our party is. Oh, and around this point, we did get our friend Jidani Tia joining us. So our party arrives at the size of 4. We have a fully balanced light party at this point, actually. Nice. Okay, next up. The Whole Truth. A band of heretics led by the overzealous Hubertin has gathered near Tailfeather. Their sights set on the lightly defended hamlet and its bounteous stores of provisions. Slay the wild-eyed men and women before their leader arrives and the assault is commenced. Alright then, we have a bit of a challenge here. Defeat all of Hubertin's men, all of Hubertin's women, before they can fully rally together and attack Tailfeather. I don't believe there's actually a time limit here other than the one that's inherently on all fates. But as we kill most of Hubertin's supporters, Hubertin himself arrives. Well, well, this one shall make an excellent offering. Please don't sacrifice us as offerings, oh no. That would be very unpleasant. I don't want to die, not today. No thank you. Oh, but Hubertin, you have quite a bit of health. Yeah, I think we fucked up the fate scaling in the Forelands quite a bit by having a rather large party. Oops. It happens. Overall, it does go faster to have a party, but it definitely does try to scale to make it so it doesn't go too fast. Alright, and with Hubertin dead. So it comes to this. Very well, if I must. my blood, my body, my soul as one. Bear witness to my ascension. Huberton is overtaken with madness upon seeing the bodies of his loyal servants strewn across the forest floor. The anger sends his tainted blood a-boiling, hastening his transformation into the beast which now looms before us. Slay the heretic before he sees tail feather burn. He has become a dragon. Kill them all! Alright, Huberton. We cannot let this stand. Oh, I miss some of his dialogue. Bear witness to my ascension. Wahaha! It begins with your end! Alright, Huberton. You're gonna have to die, unfortunately. You are out of control, dangerous, and going to get a lot of innocent people killed. Though again, quite the durable little jackass. This fate scaling can be, interesting sometimes in how intensely it goes. But Huberton's not really posing any threat at all, so we'll finish him off in due time. And then we can move on to the next fate. God, you're durable. You're losing about 1% a second, so it's not taking too long, but it very much did turn into a multi-minute fate as a result. Alright, there we go. Huberton is dead. And onwards we go to our next fate. Alright, next up, the Mourning After. The half-man, half-dragon abomination Bloodbearer Robertlain has laid claim to the sacred cavern known as Mourn, slaying several of its peaceful guardians in the process. The Horde and its mindless minions cannot be allowed a foothold so near Ishgardian territories. Find this heretic and expel him from Somal. Hold on a moment. Hold on. So we have a heretic who converted into a dragon, either by consuming more dragon blood or by just becoming enraged as Huberton did. But you slew the peaceful denizens of Mourn. Mourn, which is inhabited by the Dravanians. Not necessarily by Nidhogg's horde, but by Dravanians. Interesting. So the heretics and the horde do in fact come into conflict with the more peaceful Dravanians. That is fascinating, actually. That has some really worrying and interesting implications at the very least for the Dravanian internal relationships and internal politics. And yet despite this internal conflict between them, the peaceful Dravanians, who don't go after humans all that much, still not exactly fans of us, for very good reason. Not exactly intent on stopping the horde from attacking us. Love that for us. Alright, that is the Mourning After complete. On to the next fate. We have there's another bunch we're doing right now, but we're going to skip most of those and move on to the final two. Hearing voices, scholars claim that the voice of a dragon somehow manipulates the wind ether upon which it is carried. The ether providing the voice with added potency, which in turn extends range and authority. Heightened Venegaroon activity in the Forelands is believed to be in direct correlation with this phenomenon. So this sounds like it's actually expanding on the lore of the dragon song, which we've heard a little bit about, where the dragons will sing out their chorus and call other Dravanians to action. We know that Nidhogg did this back when we were in Post A Realm Reborn, back when that's actually what triggered us going up to meet with Midgardsormr, is Dravanian activity increased, the Dragon Star brightened, and the Dragon Song rang out. Interesting, so Dravanians can actually influence the Wind Ether, enhancing their song, is what it seems to be saying. Very interesting lore. Alright then, let's go ahead and exterminate these Vinegaroons, and then we can move on to the final fate, which has just spawned. Also, forgot to mention, because I was wrapped up in the discussion about Dravanian interrelationships, but during the morning after, my partner Thabita was able to join us, bringing us up to 5, and with a second healer. Alright, there we go, Vinegaroon's dead. On to the final fate, the 30-minute boss fate of this area, Special Tarasque Force. We're gonna need a Special Tarasque Force for this one because this is a infamously brutal fate, unless you use a strategy known as Blue Cheese. While rare, the Dragon Tarasque will occasionally descend from the churning mist to foul the weak minds of heretics seeking truth, in the words of the enemy. This opportunity to slay the Master Manipulator cannot be allowed to slip through our fingers. The big problem with Tarasque is that ability that it just used. I believe it's called Dragon Stomp. It'll use it again in due time. And then again, and then again, and then again, and then again. Dragon Stomp, if I'm remembering the name correctly, has a massive area of effect. Yeah, Dragon Stomp. So, in order to survive it, we need to get the hell away from it. Thankfully, you don't need to get out of the AoE. That's borderline impossible. What you need to do is just get away as far away as you can, because it is a proximity AoE. The closer you are to Tarasque, the more damage it does. Which does mean that this fight is going to be a lot of attack, 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 run the fuck away. I decided to use Living Dead here, so I didn't have to run away, so I could self-heal. And yeah, you can see Dragon Stomp is just absolutely brutalizing our party. It's not going all that well for us. When we get a little bit further into the fight, we're going to whip out the Blue Cheese strategy, and I will go over how that works then. But if you're going to be fighting this fate, it is highly recommended you have... it's highly recommended you have someone who can use the Blue Cheese strat. And yes, I did say someone who can use it. It is a very specific strat using a very specific ability on a very specific job. It requires a bit of setup to get, but once you have everything set up, it's not too hard to actually execute, thankfully. Though it will lead to one player doing just one action over and over mindlessly in order to make this fight bearable. While we're dealing with Tarasque, there's also going to be a whole bunch of sprites in the area that we're just going to need to deal with just because they get caught in the crossfire. More importantly, there's going to be occasional ads that'll pop up and come to try and beat the crap out of us. So it is definitely a good idea to keep an eye out for those ads, make sure you're hitting them with your AoEs when they pop up, or have a second tank who can deal with the ads for you, so you don't need to take the main tank's attention off of Tarasque. You can definitely see this fight is not going ideally. We are 6 minutes into the fight, which granted we got here late, but we've only done 10% of its health. We're making progress, but it's definitely on pace to takes the entire 30 minutes. Not helped at all by this nonsense. Yeah. But hey, we're limping through it. We're hanging in there. I'm going to go ahead and let you enjoy our horrible, horrible struggle against Tarasque for a little bit. And then when we implement the Blue Cheese strategy, I'll come in and explain how exactly it works. It'll be a couple of minutes. I think it's around... It's not too far from now that I think we actually get Blue Cheese going. Maybe 2 more minutes, I'm thinking? I don't remember exactly when we use it. I want to say when Tarasque was around 70% HP, but I genuinely don't recall exactly. Alright, at this point, we started trying to implement the blue cheese strategy. Thabita was having trouble getting Tarasque to actually disengage, so that they could go out and swap jobs to the right job for blue cheese. You might be able to guess what job you need to be for the blue cheese strategy from the fact that it's called blue cheese. But yeah, we ended up having Thabita just leave the party as the best way to force a disengage from Tarasque so that they could actually switch jobs. Once they're able to get the job swap, we're going to go ahead and send them a new party invite. And I did not realize they had ran right in front of me until they were dead, unfortunately. Alright, trying to target them here just so we can get them back in the party. And they fucked up and hit the wrong button when they received the raise and accidentally went back to their home point, their home aetherite. Alright, well. While Thabita's making their way back to the fight, oops. How does blue cheese work? There's a spell you can eventually learn as Blue Mage called Perpetual Ray. I am pulling up the exact details on how it works right now, but basically, how the strategy works is Blue Mage will come in with Perpetual Ray and just use it over and over and over again. Because Perpetual Ray stops Tarasque from using Dragon Stomp. So, as if we can stop Tarasque from using Dragon Stomp, it can't use Dragon Stomp. So we don't have to worry about the horrible ability. We don't need to run away from the fight in order to survive it. Gosh, that's lovely. I love having that. That is very, very powerful. Now, Tarasque loves to use Dragon Stomp. So if you're stunning its Dragon Stomps, as soon as it gets unstunned, it's going to try and Dragon Stomp again. So effectively, by using Perpetual Ray over and over, we can stun lock Tarasque, make it basically unable to attack us. We become basically unbeatable as long as the ads don't fuck us over. And here goes the blue cheese. Alright, reading off the ability for Perpetual Ray. You can get it from level 60, so actually we can get this. We will be getting this in Heavensward, actually. Interesting. Alright. Perpetual Ray deals unexpected damage with a potency of 220. Okay, it does damage, nice. Additional effect, stun for 1 second. Great, so normally, enemies get a stun resistance every time you stun them. So, after a couple stuns, you can't stun them anymore. So how is this working then? Well, a little bonus effect on Perpetual Ray ignores target stun resistance. It ignores that. It ignores that whole stun resistance mechanic. So we can just keep stunning Tarasque over and over and over again. And beat the absolute living crap out of it until it finally dies. So, yeah, we're speeding up the rest of the fight. We don't need to sit here watching several minutes of us beating the crap out of Tarasque while it's stun locked by Perpetual Ray in the blue cheese strategy. Called blue cheese because Blue Mage is helping us cheese the fight. Nah, we're just gonna speed through this, tear the crap out of Tarasque, finally kill this awful, awful Fate boss. And 4%, we are almost there. Just a few more hits. And we will finally be free of Tarasque. The special Tarasque force has come together to destroy this dragon. And we're gonna get some pretty nice rewards for beating it. Namely, our rewards are an achievement, falling down for clearing this fate with the highest rating, And the Fat Chocobo Triple Triad card, number 72 on the list. Alright, let's go ahead and get that into our Triple Triad collection, and with that, next time on Final Fantasy XIV, now that Tarasque is dead, we are done with Dravanian Forelands fates for now. Next time on Final Fantasy XIV, it is time for more job quests, actually, while we prepare for the end of this third of Heavensward.